Hi. I hope you do enjoy Global 365 conference so far. I know there are a lot of interesting sessions, and I'm really also glad that you joined my session as well. The session that I want to present you is about how to build a chatbot actually without the need of coding, without the need to write a single line of code. And we are going to talk about Power Virtual Agents. So the new tool, new but not new actually, tool that became general available on 2nd of December last year and is now a part of the Power platform. Before I really continue, just a few words about me. So I'm Business Applications VP, so I know those things and I'm really active in the community. And I also call myself an expert because on the one hand, I do have a big experience in my opinion, but also I really enjoy doing what I'm doing. And what I'm doing is that I do believe that every organization can actually work more effectively and more efficiently if they move to IT actually. And what I'm trying to do is to help organizations to do this shift. So to move with their paper-based, Excel-based, Outlook-based processes into the cloud, into the Power Platform, into the third-party tools like Nindex, whatever. The platform is not a key here. The key is to convince customer to move to the cloud. I'm also a very active community contributor, and I'm doing a lot of speakings, international speakings, a lot of posts on my blog. So if you're interested in what I'm doing, in what I'm writing about, then feel free to follow me on my Twitter. Feel free to look up my blog. The URL is just below. What is also important is I'm also a proud co-organizer of the SPS Warsaw Conference that is going to take place on 4th of April this year. So if you have no plans for the April, or maybe if you're from Poland, then please feel invited because it's going to be an awesome event. It's going to be massive actually, because this year we are going to make its 5th edition. So this is going to be our small anniversary. So book the date. 4th of April 2020. See you. All right, so now let's jump to the actual meat of the session. Back in 2019, Microsoft conducted a survey where they asked both customers, like the individuals that are working with the channels of the communication from enterprises, and as well with the service providers, with the companies who serve any services, who create products and sell them. And the question was about how people are interacting with the channels of the communication. So there were few insights that I want to share with you. The first one was that the majority of the customers who were responding to the survey said that they're trying somehow to avoid this face-to-face interaction with a human agent in the first place. So we are more likely to choose a chatbot, we're more likely to choose an online form, an email, an automated phone call, whatever it else, but not a human agent actually. Why is that? I do not, I am not a psychologist. I believe that it's somehow easier for us to describe our issue in the written words, rather than just speaking to a person who may not always be there, able to actually answer to our doubts, our questions, our issues. Now, the second thing was that however we start this communication with this customer services, with this customer support, we expect that whomever is going to take over our case will have an access and a full history and a full knowledge about what happened previously. So, for example, if we start with this chatbot, we then expect that if we start conversation with a human agent, that human agent already knows what we were talking about with a chatbot. And lastly, what is also quite important is that in majority of the companies, there are silos. And these silos are on two levels. First one is in the communication. So for example, we have a dedicated silo for online communication, then another one for phone calls communication, another one for human agent communications. But there is also there are also silos built across like the department. So for example, what I faced recently, I had my car list and I need to return it, but then I realized that there's like a small scratch, and I wasn't like able to return the car without any costs with that scratch. So like I had to make it fixed. So I called the insurance company. I said, hey, there is this small scratch. I want it to be fixed from my insurance. And I say, okay, yes. The person came, did their notes and said, okay, that is totally under insurance. So it's going to be covered. It's going to be done on our cost. So then I spoke to an agent from the leasing company, and I said, okay, that's fine. So once you return the car, we'll just fix it on our side. So like we'll take those reimbursements from the insurance company and we'll make it done. But it's like totally free for you. And then once I returned the car, I was invoiced with the costs of the car repairs, with the parts, obviously. So I realized that there is like no actual communication between the department that was taking over the insurance cases and the department that was handling the car returns. And well, I had to make an official complaint, and then after like 2 weeks or even 3 weeks, my complaint was approved, and all the costs were like rolled back. But the feeling that this communication is somehow like stuck in those silos was really bad. So that's something that you should also think about. So we all know, like in IT, that chatbots should be an answer, should be a helpful tool. But majority of the companies that were interviewed have a lot of doubts around those chatbots. So they do think that chatbots is a technology that's quite expensive, not only because of like the sessions that has to be handled, and like each session is usually priced, is licensed, but that is also like a huge cost to start with. That to create a bot is expensive. There is also a huge doubt, and maybe companies are really frightened that if they decide to create a bot, they will need to hire like a data scientist or people from artificial intelligence area to somehow help them to create this those conversations, this logic, that the AI in the back. And also they are afraid that even though that they do like decide to create a chatbot, the costs are going to be even bigger, because the integration between a chatbot and their like third-party tools, third-party data bases, is not going to be possible like straight away. So that, for example, they will need to hire developers to create those integrational endpoints. But as I said, Power Virtual Agent is a sort of an answer to all these doubts. All right, so what is the vision from Microsoft around the PVA? So the first thing is that they want to create a tool that will help your customers and your employees as well, because this tool is not only meant to work outside your company. It's not a dedicated tool for your customers. It is also a tool that you can use internally for vast of the scenarios, actually. So the point is to create this space to allow customers, to allow employees to really engage in the way they want. So let it be a phone, let it be an online web page, let it be a chat, let it be a Teams, like wherever. Also, what is important is that this tool is meant to be for everyone, for citizen developers, for power users, for developers as well, because it delivers an interface that allows everyone to create their own chatbot without a need to hire those developers or data scientists. Also, because it delivers the dashboards and it collects the data, the insights from the conversations, it gives you tools and knowledge to let you improve the tool, to let you improve the bot. And lastly, thanks to the fact that it's built on top of many Microsoft 365 and Azure services that I'll just talk about later, it brings you a lot of benefits from having all these goodness just in the background, so like underneath. So in the beginning, I said that Power Virtual Agent is like a new tool, but not new tool. And that's a fact because back in 2019, in April, during Microsoft Business Applications Summit, there was an announcement around virtual agent for customer services. So that was like a new tool, totally like a part of Dynamics. And that was the first time I actually faced, or I actually had this interaction with the virtual agent as a tool. Today, once it became general available, the interface is still the same. It had been enhanced with the new features. So back then in April, it was this virtual agent for customer services. However, during the Microsoft Ignite, as Satya Nadella announced a lot of changes around Power Virtual platform, the Power Platform itself, so like announced that Power Automate is going to be the new name for Flow, that the Power Apps is going to be written separately, the UI flows, but as well he announced a new tool in the Power Platform landscape that was named the Power Virtual Agent. And that is actually this successor of the virtual agent for customer services. So today, this landscape of the Power Platform is not a trinity, is quadrinity. So this ecosystem that really allows you to create any sort of business logic, to create business processes, business applications, and as well the chatbots. And it also allows you to connect beyond the Microsoft ecosystem, because thanks to these connectors and ability to create custom connectors and the gateways, you can really cover a lot of scenarios. So this is actually what the chatbot is. So the tool that allows you to create this space, or to cover the space for communication between with a customer or employee and a bot. And what as well I like mentioned a little bit before, is that thanks to the fact that Power Virtual Agent is built on top of Power Platform, Azure Bot Services, and Azure Cognitive Services, it brings you all the benefits from all these parts just in front of your eyes, with a very easy to adopt interface to create your own bots. And for example, from the Azure Bot Services, you're able to benefit from using bot skills. From Cognitive Services, well, you have the AI underneath that you don't have actually to code yourself or to train yourself. And from the Power Platform, obviously, it brings you those hundreds of connectors, plus the possibility to create your own. So what Power Virtual Agent actually is a tool that allows you to create in a visual way the logic of your conversation, logic of your bot. It gives you this possibility to integrate. It gives you a possibility to easily transfer the conversation to human agent, and it brings you all those benefits from having AI underneath. And as said, it also has the dashboards that you can browse, you can consume, and that brings you all the information about how your conversations, how your bot actually is performing with your customers, with your employees. If there are any conversations that are performing worse or maybe better, maybe there are also ways to make your good performing conversations to perform even better. So there is like a huge amount of data being collected through each conversation from the feedback of the customers as well, their satisfaction and sentiment. And therefore you have that knowledge to then create your conversations, your bot even better. All right. So having that said, actually, I think it's really time now to jump into the demo. So right now I want to show you how you can create your own bot, but I don't want actually just to go through the tool, like what is it built from, what features it has, but I want to show you a real life demo built on top of the Power Virtual Agent. So for that, I took one of the stories I met recently. So the story is about actually a help desk that was created in the company. So the help desk is for internal employees actually, so not a case for customers, like for reporting issues in the product they buy. they're buying, but this is a help desk. So the logic in this help desk, in the flow of the conversation, in the flow of this bot actually, is as shown. So first, when employee attempts to talk to the bot asks them to authenticate so that they will know their context, and then bot asks about the problem. So user is describing what an issue it is, and then the bot is asking what is the kind of an issue. So if it is a software issue, or maybe if it is a hardware issue. Now, if that is a software issue, then what bot is doing first is trying to query the Q&A, the Azure Q&A database, trying to find an answer to the question or to the issue that the employee wrote. And if there is no answer, or if the answer that was found is not very much helpful, user is being asked if that's okay. And then in case it's not, the bot is going then to call the Power Automate to assign a task to the human agent, so they can try to find an answer for the issue reported by the user. And then once they actually complete their task, the outcome of the task, so the solution to this particular issue, is going to be added to the Q&A database. So if there is any of these issue reported again, then the bot will obviously know the answer. And in case the answer helps, simply the logic ends. Now, in the case of the hardware branch, what I didn't mention, what I forget to mention, is that this help desk is not an internal help desk. The company is so small they don't have a budget to hire IT specialists, so they're outsourcing the help desk, right? So in case that is a hardware issue, and the help desk is not able to, the agent, the chatbot is not able to help querying the Q&A database, then what the chatbot is actually doing is triggering a UI flow that is generating a barcode that is sent to the user, to their email, and then it is also requesting user to print out this barcode, to attach this barcode to the device that is malfunctioning, and then to send this device to the IT help desk actually, that is remotely present somewhere, like in the remote location. So that is the case if the chatbot is unable to help this hardware issue. And then in case the answer found in the database is helpful for the device issue, then obviously the bot also ends. And then every time the bot ends, it is also asking a question like, how did you like the interaction? How do you rate the interaction? And so it's also posting a small survey to the user, what is the feedback from them. All right, so now let's see how this demo actually works. Right, so the first thing that you're gonna see once you open the Power Virtual Agent tool is this landing page where you can actually sign in or sign up for free. So as I said, you have the 60 days free trial if you sign up for the first time in your tenant. So once you sign in, you're then being navigated to the home page of the tool itself. Right. The tool itself is, it is built from three major areas. The first one is the ribbon that we're all familiar from other Office 365 applications. So it's been unified. You have the waffle here with all the tools and applications. There's also the possibility to switch between the bots you've created and the environments you have. And there is also a general setting around how the Power Virtual Agent should interact with the human agents. Second area is the navigation together with the area to test your bots. You can hide it or show it. So this is where you can actually see if what you are creating is working. And the third one is the main canvas that is used for designing the bot, for designing conversations, for designing topics, like for everything that you can actually do with the bot. So let's go to the navigation that's moving us to all the features and functionalities that the bot actually has. So the first thing is topics. That is something that really is the most important thing in Power Virtual Agent, because the topic is actually a set of trigger phrases, trigger words or sentences that once a user types in here in the conversation area are actually navigating the bot, the conversation, to this specific topic, this specific flow of the conversation. I will talk about it a little bit later because that's where we are going to build the bot and where I'll show you how it actually works. The second thing are entities. That is a new feature that was brought to the virtual agent in December. That is the feature that actually allows you to extract a specific value out of the sentence. So for example, if you're asking a user for their email and you're not expecting that user is always going to write down like first name, last name at company.com. But for example, they will just use a full sentence. So like to the question, what is your email? They just write an answer, my email is, and they'll put an email in the sentence. Then using the entity, you'll be able to extract the actual value of an email. And that's something that's also going to work, for example, like for the color or for the age, for the city, for any other value. You're also able to create your own custom entity. That's not that much powerful as if you use the ready-to-use entity, the pre-built, but it also somehow allows you to create your own custom extractors. However, if you're missing these features here, you're always free to use the language analysis from the LUIS service, and to call that using Power Automate. The next thing are the analytics. So this is the part that I said is dedicated for you to monitor how your virtual agents are performing and what is the sentiment, what is the feedback from your customers, from the employees, I mean, from anyone that is actually interacting with your bots. So here you can find the data that shows you how your bot is performing, and maybe there is any sort of area or areas to improve. The next thing is the publishing, and the publishing together with channels. So once you're done with crafting, with designing your bot, you then have to go to publish and to publish it at least once, so that what you've created is going to be available for the conversations. And once you publish it, you can then distribute your bot across channels. So channels is something that is hidden here under the manage. And channels allows you to publish your bot to a custom web page, to a dedicated web page. So that's just a code that you can copy and then put in your web page to embed the bot. But as well, you're able to, for example, use the bot as a chat bot for your Messenger or for the Microsoft Teams. How to do that, you can read on my blog post. That's fairly easy. And then there is also a set of other channels that you can use to publish your bot to. However, they require you a little of the Azure Bot Service coding, so that it's not very straightforward as for Teams and Messenger. They do need Azure Bot as a middleware, but it's also feasible. Next thing is authentication. So authentication is also a new feature that was added to the Power Virtual Agent in December. So that's a feature that allows you to use any of the authentication providers like Azure AD. I mean, any authentication provider that supports OAuth 2.0. So in this case, I configured my bot with AAD. So it allows you to actually get the user context into your conversation. and then to use the generated bearer token for the user across the conversations, across the third-party applications, across Office 365 to authenticate the requests. And last thing that was also brought in December are skills. So this is this feature that is clearly coming from the Azure Bot Service that allows you to create like a set of actions that are being like encapsulated into a single action that you can put in the conversation flow. So I haven't yet played around with that, but it seems quite powerful. All right, so let's back to topics. So as said, topics is something that allows you to create a set of trigger phrases that allows your bot to actually jump into specific flow of conversation. Once you start with your own bot, once you create your new bot, then you have like 25 user topics pre-generated for you, or 24, I don't remember, and as well those 8 system topics. Now, whether it's a user topic or a system topic, you're free to configure them, you're free to modify them according to your own requirements. So even though they're pre-generated by the system, then they're just ready here for you to adjust them for your own needs. Now let's jump into the one that I've created for this specific purpose. So the help desk topic is being triggered by any of these phrases, but also because there is this AI service underneath, it reads what I have input here, and it also learns so that if I, for example, type in help desk, I need help, then it also is going to trigger this specific conversation because it somehow matches all the predefined trigger phrases I have typed in by myself. Now, once I'm done with the trigger phrases, I can then go to actually the authoring canvas where I am able to really build my own logic. The authoring canvas is something that you're also similar, or it should be similar from Power Automate, because that's somehow just a flow that you have to create. Moreover, it also is built from this topic checker functionality here, so it shows you if in your flow, if in your conversation flow, there are no issues. So that is actually how this conversation flow looks like, how this conversation flow is built. Now, in every node, in every branch you have, you can actually create nodes. Now, what is a node? Node is somehow like an action in flow. So for example, as a node, you can ask a question. So that is a question that bot asks and then is waiting for the response from the user. You can show a message. So that's the functionality that just displays a message from the bot. If this is an AND node, so like in this case, there are no actions after this node, you're also able to move your conversation to another topic that you have defined, or you can simply end the conversation with a survey or with transferring this to an agent. Also, there is a possibility to add this condition, so you can have the branch that is being evaluated based on what user input. And there is also the action, there's also the possibility to call an action. And then within the actions, you're able to call a Power Automate, but you're also able to prompt user to authenticate if you have this authentication configured. All right, so that was a little about the actions that we have. And now let me just clearly describe what is this logic here. So according to what I showed you in the slides, how the logic for the conversation looks like, this is just how it's actually being built. So first, once the conversation is being triggered, bot is asking a user to authenticate. Then, if the user is authenticated properly, then the conversation jumps to the branch that the user is logged in through. Then bot is asking a user, what is your issue, right? So that's just a question where user has to type in the issue, and then they're also asked to say what is the type of the issue. And now, once we are here with the conversation, you'll see that these are going to be two buttons. However, if you jump to the options of this specific node, you're also able to add synonyms. So user is not only required to type in software or to click the software, but maybe you can say it's soft or application. And then for hardware, they can say like hard or device, or yeah, let's stay with that. Done. So now we have not only the software and hardware as an options, but as well we have the synonyms that user can use to actually answer to the bot's question. All right, so let's start. Let's try and check if that works. One thing that is also important is that every time I made a change to the bot, I need to save it. And then I will also switch this track between topics option on, because having that turned on, you'll be able to see that this conversation is not only flowing across this topic, but if it is required, then it will like very flexible jump to the next topic available. All right, so once I start typing, you'll see that the actions where the bot is currently at are going to be highlighted with green. So, help desk. I need your help. Right now, bot has started this conversation, and because I haven't yet logged in this session, it is prompting me to log in. Once I click the button, I am navigated to the page where a token is being generated, or a code that I have to copy and then go back and paste it in here. So this authentication is really very well described in the documentation. If you're in doubt, you can as well read my blog post where I described it even more in even more detailed way. Nevertheless, now I need to send this confirmation code, and I should be logged in. All right, so now I'm logged in. So now the bot is asking me, what is your issue? So let's try with the software. So I will say that, for example, I can't edit Excel file. So now it's asking if it's software or hardware. So as you see, I can either hit one of the buttons, or I can type in soft. So that was one of the synonyms to software. Now the bot is going to query the Q&A database. So it has queried the Q&A database right now, and well, it found an answer to the question. So it's kind of descriptive and it should be efficient. However, I might say no, that is not the answer that really solves my question, because, for example, the file is in read only. It's not in read only, so I'll say no. So as I said no, the bot will now jump into the branch saying no. So it will now assign a task to the human agent, so that the human agent is going to be able to take it like offline and then try to answer it offline once they have time. So now we went to the end of the topic, and as you see, it has reached the end of the conversation. So it jumped to another topic that is actually like evaluation topic. So now it asks me, did this answer your question? And I say, okay, yes. So now it will jump to another topic that is actually like survey, a short survey where I can write my experience. So I'm ranking it, it was excellent. All right, so that's it. I can now jump to my teams, where I should be assigned a task by, where was it? Teams. So I jump to teams, and here I should find a private communication with my bot. Actually with a UI, with a Power Automate, that is going to assign me a task. So in the meantime, I'll tell you a little bit about how to actually integrate the Power Virtual Agent with Power Automate. So you have to meet two requirements to be able to use Power Automate from Power Virtual Agent. The first thing is that all the flows that you want to use from Virtual Agent have to be added to a solution. So that's the first requirement. Now the second one is that they have to be triggered via the HTTP request. So that's the Power Automate, the flow that I've created, and is actually assigning a task to a human agent. So let me show you how it looks like. Yep, so it's running. So now as you can see, or yes, so you can see it was triggered by the HTTP request, and then it is simply creating this approval and is assigning me a task as a flow, as an adaptive card. So I'll now jump to my teams. Now I want to use the web app instead. There is a chat. And there is my new flow, send me a card. And there's this question. So please answer to this question. User wrote that they can edit Excel file. So I can answer, maybe save it locally and try then. So now I'll submit it. And now this answer is going to be sent to the user who requested this support, but as well, it is going to be added to the Q&A database, and the database is going to be published. So right now, if I jump back to my Q&A maker, and that's the Excel database, in this editorial area, I should be able to see another answer that is actually the one that was sent back by the human agent. Yep, so the database is being loaded. And so there it is. Right, so there is a question, there is an answer. Fine. So this scenario seems to be working really well. Okay, but what if that's a hardware issue? So let's try the conversation again. Help desk, sorry. So at this point, let's say maybe not, maybe like my battery is dead. What can I do with that? Oh, one thing that is important, because I was already logged in and my brother token hasn't expired yet, I don't have to do it again. That is the same case as, for example, if I answered this question already, and for example, the logic in the bot would make me to go through this same question again, I can mark this option skip question, so that if this is the same conversation session between the user and the bot, and then if we think that we don't want actually to ask the same question user again, we can mark this option to skip it, so user is not going to be troubled by answering the same question over and over again. But in my case, I don't want to skip it because that's like actually a new thing. So that might be another case. So I do have to know if this is software or hardware. So now let's go to the hardware branch. So now again, Flow is, so Virtual Agent is trying to, is querying the Q&A database. So, well, yeah, he found an answer. So yeah, winter is coming. Winter came actually. Does it help you? Well, obviously not. That's not an answer I was expecting because the battery is still dead. So right now, what is going to happen is that the bot is asking me to type in the serial number of the device. So I have to type in the device number, DEF 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever else. So let that be the device number. And now what the bot is going to do is to call the Power Automate. That Power Automate is going to call a UI flow that is now going to call the barcode application that is going to generate the barcode. And well, you'll see what's going to happen. So let's just give it a moment. Right now on my computer, there is a gateway being called that should in just a little while call the UI flow. All right, so it has opened the barcode generator, and now it should input the value. Okay, so that's the value and my email that it obtained because I was logged in, and it will now set all the values, and finally it should save the file to the OneDrive location so that later this file is going to be used by the Power Automate actually triggered the flow and will be sent to the requester, so to my email, well, inside. All right, so it looks it worked. That's really well. That's really happy that it was working. So that was the second scenario. And yep, so it already jumped to the question if this solution answered my question. So I think I would just say yes. So okay, I click yes. No, sorry, no. I should have been clicked yes. Whatever. So that was just another different ending. So that was a question: how can it help? So now I can just jump to Doctor Energy, but I have not configured this yet. I'll try to rephrase the question. So last thing I want to show you, let's see if how this barcode was working. So that is the flow, and here is the run. So sometimes the UI flow, it's still in preview. It doesn't really work perfectly. So like in this case, it returned an error. However, it worked. So then the workflow was able to actually get the generated email, the file, and then to send it to me as an attachment. And then speaking about the Power Automate and the UI flows itself. So if you want to try your own RPA thing, your own RPA workflow, then there is the new feature available that is called the UI Flows Preview. And here you can actually try to create your own either desktop or the web flow. And once you start working with the UI flows, the first thing you have to do is to simply create this map of actions. So for example, if you want to create a new RPA sequence, you have to use this recorded app. And then once you hit it, there is going to be a recorded launch. If you don't have it installed yet, then it will be installed for you. So you have to have this recorded present. And then, for example, with this barcode case in myself, if I want to start using this application somehow by the UI flow, I need to start the recording, and then whatever I do with the application. So as you can see, if I hover a field, it's being highlighted. If I, for example, want to use an input, I can just choose it from the inputs, like variables. So yeah, type me here the value of the serial number, and then I can as well, for example, use the output. So if you have a case where you want as well to like generate something, and then to take this value from the application back to the Power Automate, just simply do it. And then once you're done with the recording, you can just hit the done button and it's done. And in this way, what you will have here is going to be a set of actions generated for you, each one with small screenshots. And then for each activity, either it's posting or getting the value, you will also have the information here recorded. Right, so now I'll just remove it because I don't want to damage my UI flow, my perfect UI flow. Anyway, once you're done with crafting your UI flow, the next step you have to do is to try and test it. So if you hit the test now, it will simply trigger this UI flow designer tool to follow the steps you have designed. However, once you're already done with designing the UI flow and you really want to call it from the Power Automate, then you have to have installed the data gateway. So this on-premises data gateway has to be installed on your computer and up and running, so that the connection that you define to actually trigger the UI flow is going to be used to access these on-premises contents and to trigger the UI flow on your computer to follow all these steps that you have simply defined. All right, so that's it about the demo. All right, so I hope that you like the demo. So now I just want to finish with a small roadmap of the tool. So this year, the first quarter of this year, what is planned is quite a lot of features that we really miss today. So the first and the most important one is this ability to import and export bots. So you'll be able to create your bot in one environment, then import it in another environment, or maybe create your internally and then export and import at the customer environment. Up to you, but this feature is obviously missing. Second thing is that we're going to be able to add images and videos in topics, in conversations. Next thing is that we'll be able to use global variables. So as you saw, the topics, the conversations in bot are very flexible. So bot is able really to jump from one topic to another. Today, you only have local variables, so you just can't pass the logic from one conversation to another. With global variables, you're obviously going to be able. So you'll be able to set the value of the variable in one conversation and then use this value in another conversation. Also, the ability to co-author the bots. And lastly, this AI-assisted authoring, so that AI is also going to suggest to you the topics that you'll be able to use in your bots. Also, what I mentioned is that 2nd of December, PVA, the Power Virtual Agent, became generally available, and that's the bad information actually, because it also became now a licensed tool. So today, the licensing model is that it's cost like $1,000 per month per 2,000 sessions. If you don't use these 2,000 sessions, they just don't go to the next month. So it's like per month. If you can't utilize it, that's like only your fault, and that's your problem actually. But then if you do utilize the 2,000 sessions and you need an additional sessions, then there is like a package, 1,000 sessions for $150. And also, if you start using the Power Virtual Agent for the first time, there is a 60-day trial available, so you can really learn deeply what this tool is about during the 60 days. And if you want to start with a PVA, it's really simple. So simply type in your browser aka.ms/trypva, and the tool is ready for you there. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much. I really hope you enjoyed this session. I really hope you liked the content I was presenting and the knowledge I shared. I also hope that you got somehow influenced and inspired to try your best with the Power Virtual Agent as well. So yeah, thank you very much, and I wish you a very interesting next sessions in the conference. Thank you very much.